After starting the season in last place in the entire NHL, the Edmonton Oilers have come back and advanced to the Western Conference Finals after beating the Vancouver Canucks in 7 games. And this team has showed so much resilience, and they look very hard to beat right now. With Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl playing like two of the top players in the entire NHL and having enough depth scoring to scare most teams, this team has been exceptional since their 2-12-1 start to begin the season. This Oilers team has been so much more impressive than the Oilers in years past, and yes, they have mainly the same makeup of a team, but in adding players like Adam Henrique and Dylan Holloway, and even on defense, having a full season of Matthias Ekholm to fit into their system, this team has been so good, both offensively and defensively this season, and it has led them to come back from their abysmal start to make a deep playoff run. And out of all the teams to match up against Dallas in the conference final, I think that they have the best shot to take down an absolute juggernaut in Dallas. And this team is so scary in so many different ways because you have the top line or top two lines, which have two of the top five players in the entire NHL in Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. And then you have outside scoring in Evander Kane, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and Zach Hyman, with Zach Hyman having 54 goals in the regular season and finishing tied for second in the entire NHL in goal scoring. And as much as McDavid has something to do with that, playing on the same line as one of the best passers in the entire NHL, no one else has done that, and Zach Hyman has done it whether on McDavid's line or not, and has been a huge contributor to the Edmonton Oilers and how they play their offensive game. And on the power play, he has been vital for them. But one big area that the Oilers have hugely improved upon throughout this season has been their defense. And they had a streak of 14 straight games, I believe it was, during their huge win streak midway through the season, where they did not allow two or more goals at all throughout the entire streak of 14 games. And this has been thanks to hiring Paul Coffey to be their defensive coach and having Matthias Ekholm for a full year. Matthias Ekholm has been one of the best defensemen in the entire NHL, and he complements Evan Bouchard perfectly because while Ekholm is a little bit more of a stay-at-home defenseman, Evan Bouchard is the offensive one in that pairing, and they are a perfect complement for each other on the top unit for this Edmonton Oilers team. And with Paul Coffey, this team has been so much better defensively, and they hired him at the same time they hired Chris Knoblauch after their horrendous start, and this team has been miles better defensively. And while their offensive stats have been impressive throughout the regular season and postseason, and they have, like I said, 4 of the top 5 scorers in the NHL in the playoffs, and have Zach Hyman as the leading goal scorer with 11 goals, this team is so much more than one-dimensional, and that is what the difference has been throughout this season compared to seasons in the past. And I don't think that this same Edmonton Oilers team would have had the resiliency and the depth to make it past the Vancouver Canucks in the second round throughout in past seasons. When they went down 3-2, it looked like a lost cause. And in Game 7, Connor McDavid did not register a point. It was Cody Ceci who stepped up with a huge goal. And then Evan Bouchard let a rocket go from the point that got tipped by Zach Hyman that ended up in a goal. And you have Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, who last year scored over 100 points. And he scored the eventual game-winning goal in Game 7 of a playoff series. And when people come at the Oilers and try to negate what they have done, they often say that this is a one-line team, but this team has become much more than that, and they have created an identity around depth scoring to complement their two stars as well as a defense. And while Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard have been up and down throughout the entire season, they have showed the potential to be really, really above average goaltending for the Edmonton Oilers. And if Stuart Skinner can get his mind right and play like he did in the 7th game against Vancouver, and like he did during the Edmonton Oilers' massive win streak throughout the season, this team could be really, really, really good. And this team could easily take down Dallas and make a Stanley Cup final appearance. And Dallas is a tough opponent, but I think that the Edmonton Oilers are not given nearly enough credit for how deep they actually are, and they have depth scoring for the first time in a long time, and their defensemen do not get enough credit for how good they've actually been. Vincent Desharnais has been an excellent defenseman on the second or third pairing, depending on the game, and Chris Knobloch has been an excellent coach for this Edmonton Oilers team. He has provided a lot of stability and confidence that this team has needed in years past. When the Edmonton Oilers gave up 2 goals late in the third period in Game 7 against Vancouver, he had the composure to call a timeout and rally his troops to defend for the last 4.5 minutes of the game and eventually close out Game 7 of a playoff game in an opposition's arena to win a round and win a Game 7. And in years past, the Oilers most likely would have crumbled and folded, and Chris Knobloch has been a huge source of inspiration for this team. This team looks so much different than in years past and has really impressed me, and I think that this series against Dallas is going to be a true test of where they're really at. But I do think that the Oilers do not get enough credit for how deep and solid that they have been throughout this entire season. Furthermore, throughout this playoffs, Leon Draisaitl has proved that he's a top 5 or even possibly top 3 player in the entire league by scoring a league high 24 points in only 12 playoff games. And he's averaging 2 points a game and nearly a goal a game throughout the entire playoffs so far against two very defensive minded teams in Los Angeles and Vancouver. And Leon Draisaitl has proven himself to be an absolutely incredible player. And we knew this coming into these playoffs that Draisaitl and McDavid were incredible players, but Draisaitl has stepped up even more throughout this playoff run and has led his team to wins and has played that gritty style of hockey. And in the series against Vancouver in Game 1, he went out for a large portion of that game due to injury, but battled back and didn't let it affect him throughout the entire series. Leon Draisaitl has been an absolute warrior throughout these playoffs and has really been a major factor to why the Edmonton Oilers are in the position they're in late in the season and making a third round appearance in the playoffs. Let me know what you think of the Edmonton Oilers down below in the comments section below, and let me know if you think they have any chance whatsoever against Dallas and what this series will be. God bless you all. I hope you have an amazing day, and make sure to subscribe to the channel because I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of June. God bless.